All right, so welcome. We're doing another conscious convo today. So tonight we're going to be talking about balancing your spiritual and physical being. So basically, because if you're not in alignment on the inside, your outside is going to start to reflect that too. So today I'm here with my girl Charmaine again at the Goddess Gateway. She is an intuitive, a healer, basically just an all around divine force. So let's get into it. So I wanted to start off with talking about really understanding like the duality of things, like the nature of our experience in general. So we know there's our spiritual aspect, our physical aspect. We also really kind of look at it too. There's the spiritual world, so to speak, spiritual realm, spiritual reality, and then there's the physical, right? So as above, so below. So basically, whatever it is that you're thinking about or working through energetically, it manifests in the physical. So I always like to think of this too as like your spirit is really always trying to restore balance. So basically, we have to be aware of those two in order to be able to make whatever shifts we want to create the reality that we want. So yeah, I really kind of want to know from you, like what I guess, like, how can someone really tell if they are maybe out of balance, whether it's spiritually, and then maybe they might feel fine physically? Like, how do they know if one or the other is out of balance?
I always say, look around. Because things manifest spiritually before they manifest physically, that kind of lets you know where things are according to whatever has manifested around you, according to whatever you have created around you, whatever your reality looks and feels like to you. That's a telltale sign, especially if you just feel like something is off. You may not be able to pinpoint what that thing is, why it's off, how it's off, but you know it's off. It feels like that's your spirit speaking to you, letting you know, hey, we need to do some work here. So if you are taking the time to sit with yourself, meditating,
Mhm.
then you'll be able to know when something is off. And even if you're just listening to your body, listening to the nudges that you may feel that you're getting, they'll speak to you. They'll tell you, hey, something's off. Like if you have a pain in your knee, pain is a sign that, hey, we need to fix something right here. So
Right.
really just being self-aware enough to see the signs and pay attention to them when they come.
Right. Exactly. So it's really being in tune with yourself more than anything, because of course you're gonna feel the offness. I'll call it the
Right.
offness.
Right.
Um, but it's up to you to do the work to investigate and figure out what it is that you need to shift in order to restore balance. So, sometimes we might have this untruth of like, once you fix it, it's done. No. No, basically, with us being in, human, right, we're having this experience, it's going to ebb and flow. There are going to be some days where you are at your best and some days where you're not, right? But it's not anything to really get upset or annoyed or even, angry with yourself. Like, it's a natural part of the experience. So now that you're aware, okay, like something is off, you now get to make the choice and the decisions. You figure out what tools work for you and you go ahead and do them. You incorporate them so that you are already prepared, right? You already have an arsenal with all of the stuff that you need to restore the balance when you need. Another thing I wanted to point out too. So we're always dealing with lower vibrations. We are in this very moment. I had to sage, I'm on here, you trying to be on Instagram, right? And they're like, no, right? So, but we're on YouTube and we're still live. But I will say I still have to use my tools, whether it's sage, I have my crystals, doing whatever I need to do to cleanse my space. And also I'm not letting it phase me, right? So we don't want to get so hung up in the fact that something bad is happening, right? We can move through that and move past that if we see that we have the tools necessary to do that. So So that was a good point that you made there. So when it comes to like daily habits though, so I know that there are, yes, when you get thrown off, you want to use a tool or use a modality, but there are some daily habits that are mandatory, right? So you have your nutrition, you have your making sure you're hydrated, you should be moving every single day, right? Physical activity, meditation and mindfulness, right? Prayer, exactly. So are there any specific daily practices maybe that you have that I haven't mentioned that help you to really stay grounded, whether it's spiritually or physically?
Definitely my I ams. I say affirmations daily. I pray out loud daily. The meditation, I'm getting back on my daily path with meditating. I work with essential oils daily. I take my supplements. I move my body. I bought a treadmill. If I'm not on the treadmill, I'm on an actual trail, or I'm doing the elliptical. What else? On a everyday basis. Oh, I don't juice every day, but I do drink my juice 3 days a week. So making sure that I'm keeping my physical being at its top tier. And as far as the spiritual, prayer, meditation, journaling, releasing. I don't do release every day, but I do say that I am releasing all that no longer serves me. I don't necessarily write a release letter every day, but I do verbalize that I'm releasing all that no longer serves me. And that kind of gets me where I need to be, especially on the days where I can feel that I may not be at my highest vibration. I will grab this release oil so fast and I will take a salt bath just to get myself back to where I need to be. But daily, yes, I am moving, I am taking my supplements, and I'm praying and I'm meditating and working with my essential oils and crystals almost daily.
Yeah. So, and I know like sometimes we hear these things and it can get a little flustering about like, oh my God, I got to get this together. I got to get these oils. I got to get these crystals. Honestly, you don't need a ton of stuff, right? Even if you pick 3 things, right? Keep it simple. I love things in 3. Pick 3 things and those are your go-tos. But I do want to dive deeper into this specific. You mentioned oils and you mentioned crystals. So speaking on crystals, so this is where when some people think about you're into spirituality, the first thing they think about is crystals, right? Which is great, right? We know that like crystals hold power, right? Crystals have consciousness. There's a spirit in crystal. Each one of them carries specific energetic frequencies and they have specific roles in how they assist us, right? So some is for like, for example, black tourmaline is for grounding, amethyst, clarity, or for third eye. There's different purposes, but more than anything, it's almost like you can communicate with these stones, set your intention, and they will assist you. So I know it could be a tricky thing to grasp about a rock having consciousness, but everything has consciousness.
Yeah, everything has consciousness.
Right. And the sooner we start to kind of jump on to really understanding the power of it, you can even start to realize how it shows up in our reality and we kind of write it off. Like I was just watching The Avengers the other day, and the guy has a gauntlet, a hand full of what?
Full of crystals,
right? So the whole time, the whole gist of this whole show is this man is chasing after crystals, right? Because the combined power of them do whatever it is that he needs them to do. That's his intention. So I wanted to touch on that briefly. And I also wanted to find out from you, like if you had anything to add when it comes to just, people, whether it's they're just now getting started with crystals, or maybe they're curious, maybe they were and they've seen them and they feel drawn to them, but they don't know why. What's your take on crystals?
I love crystals. I was the kid who had a rock collection. And I was like, oh, this rock is so cool and that rock is so cool. And to your point about programming the crystals, when you get them and you speak your intention to them, hey, bring me clarity in this dream tonight, because that's one that I say often, and then I'll stick crystals under my pillow and I'm rolling around all night with crystals everywhere. But for beginners, I know a lot of people like to work with crystals, and a lot of people want to jump head first in working with crystals, and then they'll go and get Moldavite. And that will rock your world and turn it upside down. I say if you are new to crystals, start with the ones that your soul is calling you to. Like if you go into a crystal shop and you're drawn to something specific, more than likely you need that crystal. I bought a piece of rutile recently, and I did not go to the store to get rutile. I had a list of what I was getting. And I promise you, if the rutile had a mouth, it was saying, "Take me home. I want to go home with you." So, how you say they can communicate with us, that's very true. If it's one that you're like, it's just something about that one. Most people will say, well, that's just a rock. But if you know, you know, if you're drawn to them, then you're drawn to them. Even before you pick out a crystal, I would ask your high angelic team to help you pick out the one that you need. If you want to work with the crystal, you can even body test to see if this is the crystal that I need to work with right now. So it's a lot of different ways to pick and choose the crystals that want to come home with you, the crystals that you want to work with. And sometimes you could just sit them down and say, all right, who wants to sleep with me tonight? That's what I do sometimes. And then the one that I'm drawn to, I'm like, okay, definitely this one and definitely this one. I think it's really about, as silly as it may sound, building a relationship with your crystals, because like you said, they have a consciousness and they are wanting to assist you as much as you are wanting to work with them. So just building up the relationship, even like letting it touch your skin, sleeping with it, putting it in your pocket, however you choose to work with them, placing them strategically around your home. They all have different purposes and they want to help you. They want to
Mhm.
work with you.
Absolutely. And, I feel like we should also kind of double back too, because in the beginning, I was saying like there's the spiritual aspect and the physical, and crystals are a representation
A
of, of,
physical.
of that, right? It's the physical, but there is the spiritual aspect. And so it often gets overlooked, but, it's up to us to really kind of do research too, to figure out what is going to be a good fit for us to work with. But simply having a crystal in your home, you know what I mean? You don't have to go do a lot with it. Simply having it there is enough. And so, like, when it comes to kind of trying to put it in your toolbox, I would say, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't go and get a bunch of stuff if you're not quite sure what it is. Yes, it's a part of, there are different fads. The new age brings in for different things, but I want to emphasize that this is going to become more prevalent in the future. There's going to be a lot of technologies that'll be affected with crystals. Crystals are already in our lighters, in our computers, in our cell phones. So
Watches.
in our watches. So now we're going to be taking it a step further now to understand how it can help us on a spiritual as well as a physical level. So I appreciate you giving that clarity there. So let's
And you don't need to have every crystal to start with.
that too.
You
That
can
too.
build your collection over time. Just start with the one or two that you feel drawn to.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, in addition to crystals now, right, we have essential oils, right? So essential oils, that's a whole other realm. And, I feel like it's gaining a lot of popularity, especially the last, 5-10 years, with people using it for different things, whether it's simply just aromatherapy or, maybe that's incorporated into products that they're using. But we know that essential oils really help raising vibration. You can use your intention. There's so many different things from a indigenous standpoint that essential oils have been incorporated for. But there's so much that we've just now started to really understand what they can be used for. I remember looking into something related to cancer and healing, and in one of the cancer centers, they were rubbing essential oils on some of the patients' bodies, right? So even in the medical field now, essential oils are being introduced more and they're being used more. So Of course, intention is everything, right? You don't just use them, like you
Right.
work with them. They are a tool to assist you with whatever it is that you are intending to do. So again, there's so many when it comes to essential oils, but you have to do your research specifically because of, interacting with your skin and, ingesting stuff. You want to make sure you're not ingesting things that don't need to be ingested. But for you, Charmaine, I know you have done a lot of work with essential oils. You even have some mixes that you've done before. So can you talk a little bit about that and maybe mention a couple of key ones that you recommend people have?
Yeah, so I love essential oils. I keep them right next to me at all times. I use them for if I have a headache, I'm sniffing peppermint oil. I don't need Tylenol. I'm sniffing my peppermint oil and it's doing what I need it to do. If the room feels cloudy or heavy, then I'm going to diffuse some release oil or even put some in a spray bottle and spray it around. It's so many different ways that you can work with essential oils. I do have, I think it's called the Essential Oil Dictionary or Encyclopedia or something like that, and it lists all of the different purposes and uses for each different essential oils that I've never even heard of before. So you definitely want to do your research before you work with an oil to make sure that your intention matches the energy and the energetic properties of the oil that you are using or that you're working with. Now, I do create intention oils where I combine a combination of essential oils with the carrier oil and different corresponding herbs and crystals within that for you to use on your body, in your bath, on your release letters. If you do candle magic, you can use them during your candle magic. You can just use them while you're saying your affirmations because that intention is everything. Even when working with the oils that do have their own characteristics, your intention is still going to amplify whatever the oil is going to do.
Got you. Yeah. So yeah, do your research and figure out what it is that's best for you, but don't shy away from it. I mean, like we're talking about something that could be a game changer for a lot of people for their health, their physical health, right? So yes, spiritually it's an assistant, but physically these are physical items that are here on earth for a reason by design. And so we'd be remiss if we didn't use them. So yeah, another one, I don't know if you mentioned it, release oil. That's a really, really big one, specifically, yes, with moving lower vibrations out. And so that is one of my favorites, and I keep it on my desk. So, and in my purse. But yes, if you have a staple of one that you want to carry around, do so.
And release oil should be a staple. Release
It should be a
oil,
staple.
myrrh is good for teeth. Also, peppermint is good for headaches. Lemon and ginger, they kind of get me back up when I'm feeling down. The kind of I feel like they stave off depression for me personally because that's the intention that I use them for.
Mhm.
But I do feel like everyone should have release oil at least, peppermint oil at least, ginger, lemon, rose is another one. That one comes with a hefty price tag, but that is another staple that most people should, well, everyone should have.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you get your toolbox ready with the oils as well. Okay. All right. So we talked about crystals and we talked about oils. I feel like those are more in the physical sense, right? So why don't we talk about more leaning towards the spiritual sense, right? So I know today's full moon, tonight's a full moon, and I wanted to touch on that specifically because you've written an amazing book on the cycles of the moon. So full moon, generally, I've associated it with releasing. It has this energy that to me is more feminine. And so it's a little bit more gentle. It's at night and you can kind of take your time to reflect and see if there's anything that's going on within you that you're ready to release for, in time for the next cycle. So Journaling, I know I've mentioned release letters. So release letters, you want to address whatever it is that you're trying to release, write it down and keep it simple. It doesn't have to be super long, but you want to do a release letter as part of a ritual. But before we get into exactly how to write the release letters, do you want to talk about full moon and maybe the significance of why it's so powerful as a time to release?
Yeah, so the full moon is a powerful time to release because that is the time where everything is illuminated. So all of the shadow aspects that we may deny or all the shadow aspects that we may not want to deal with, they're coming up to the surface. The emotions are going to be heightened, and that's why that's the perfect time to release. But the full moon is also a good time for manifestation, right? So the things, the seeds that you planted during the new moon and during the first quarter cycle, all of those things are coming up now. Like this is the time that you reap the fruits of your labor. And whatever you are not reaping the fruits of those labors from, then those things either need to be tweaked or released during this full moon. And the rest of the moon cycle is going to help continue to move those energies that are stagnant and that are not serving you, or things that need to be tweaked, out of the way for the next cycle. But yes, this is a time for celebrating the things that we have planted and receiving our harvest, as well as releasing the things that, they didn't pop up, they didn't sprout. So it's time to release those. But that's why, because everything is illuminated. And everything is coming up to the surface. The things that you may have been avoiding, the things that you like, I don't want to talk about it. It don't bother me anyway. Yes, it does. And it's going to come up right here, right now for you to address and to release.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's almost like, things are working around you spiritually as well to assist you with uncovering the things that you need to release. And these things, when you do release them, it makes space for the stuff that you actually want to manifest, like you said, and to bring in. So I've started to incorporate those regularly now. And it doesn't have to be like a large ceremony. Sometimes I just take a sheet of paper and I just write a few things that have been on my heart, my mind, bugging me, stuff that I don't want to carry anymore. And I write a letter to that. And then I say, I release you. I have actually a specific guide that you guys can find. I'll put it in the bio in my description if people actually want to download it. And you write, I release you, and you are good to go. Burn it, and you're good to go. I would also include, like you said, if you're manifesting things, write a few things that you want to call in. I like things in threes. So 3 things I want to release, 3 things I want to call in, and you're good to go. Anything else you want to add specifically about release letters or a ceremonial aspect of it?
I do want to say that you can create a ceremony. You can go outside, you can smudge your space, you can pray over it, you can call in the angels, call in whoever you want to work with. But if you just want to sit on the side of your bed and write a letter and burn it somewhere safe, burn it on a candle with a cup of water nearby, that is just as sacred as doing a full-blown ceremony. The intention is everything.
The intention is everything. So yes, that's the good thing about like you being able to shift things and shift them quickly. So you'll be surprised how quickly you can move out of things. When I think about, I know some people are like, what can I shift right now? What can I release right now to get some effects right now? Sometimes just the process of you even being aware that there is something to release is a part of that releasing process. And so the right now effect, sometimes we can get caught up in that because we want it to be gone right away. And then it kind of circles back and shows up again. So you got to do the cycle again. So I just wanted to point that out for people to be aware of, is when you are releasing it, don't dwell on it anymore. Don't think about it anymore. Let it go and trust that it is taken care of, and whatever it is you're calling in.
So it is done.
So it is uttered, so it is done. So yeah. Releasing. Now you had your physical tools. Now you have this tool as well. Highly recommend using that. And then I also wanted to talk about healing modalities. So there are so many healing modalities as well. And I get a lot of questions because remember, I was mentioning that people want results fast, right? They want,
Now,
yeah, they
it's
want
my
it
result,
now.
and I need it now.
Exactly. And, when it comes to all of these healing modalities that appear, this is where your discernment is really key, and you being able to, really pay attention to what it is that you're coming across. Because, yes, it could be shown to you because it's something that your soul desires for you to experience, but there are also low vibrational aspects. So you want to make sure when you're looking at these modalities, you're not just looking at the modality, you're looking at the practitioner. You're looking at the place that you're going, the setting. You're making sure this is a holistic experience for you to rectify whatever it is within your body, spiritually and physically. So let's get into Reiki because you are a Reiki master. So why don't we give like a brief, what is Reiki and what is Reiki not?
So, Reiki is energetic healing. It's universal energy channeled through the practitioner's hands to assist in healing, to assist the body in healing itself, and to assist the energetic field and the energetic systems in healing themselves, coming back into balance, coming back into alignment and activation so that your spiritual body or your spiritual being is at its fullest capacity and full peak, right? And your energetic body, that's what I want to say, is at its fullest capacity. So that can be done through physical touch, or like holding the hands above the area or above the main seven chakras is what most people work on when they do Reiki. Reiki is also not limitless, meaning it transcends time and space. So you can send this healing energy to the future. You can send it to the past, a past version of yourself. You can send it to somebody who is 1,000 miles across the world, and it will be just as effective as if they were in front of you, if you were working on them in person. Mm-hmm. So Reiki is a universal healing energy that raises your vibration, and it has so many benefits. A lot of people think Reiki is a substitute for Western medicine. It is not. It is a supplement and a complement to Western medicine. So if there is something that has happened on the spiritual that has already manifested in the physical, then you may need to go see a traditional doctor for that. But Reiki will assist your body in healing faster, and it will assist your body in the healing process. Mm-hmm. So Reiki is not a cure for any disease or disorder. And if anybody tells you that this is going to cure you, run real fast away from them. Because it is a complement and a supplemental form of energy healing.
Right. Exactly. And it's been around for a very long time. It's not new.
It's universal energy.
It's universal energy. And so I think what is also helpful too is like to remind people like it has shown up, and maybe it was a different name, right? Like Jesus did the same thing. Jesus was a Reiki healer as well, right? Hands-on healing, right? We talk about that in other settings. So there are different names for it, but essentially it's you having love for that person and the intention of assisting them and them healing themselves, right? We're not healing you. A Reiki practitioner is not healing you. It's almost like a boost, like a battery boost, right? To assist you jumpstart that and get things going for you. So if the intention is, you want to get some healing, yes, Reiki will help you specifically when you believe that it will. So,
and that's the thing, you have to be open to receive it for it to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, all the things, stress, sleep, chakra balance, physical healing, it covers a lot. So I think it could be something that's regularly in your toolkit, right? Maybe you get a tune up every couple months whenever. But yeah, Reiki is definitely something that you're going to hear more and more about. Anybody can do Reiki. So I also want to point that out. It's not specific to some who have the gift. Everybody
Can do
is
Reiki.
able to do Reiki, and everybody has their own style, right? No two practitioners are going to do the same exact thing, but the intention nonetheless is the same, sending love and healing energy. So yeah, if you're interested in that, we both actually do Reiki. And also, if you're just wanting more information, please ask. Please do that. And we'll talk about some tips toward the end when it comes to specifically about practitioners. All right, so let's talk about sound healing. So this is another modality that's gaining a lot of popularity, and I feel like specifically during the pandemic, people started to get more creative about putting things online and doing sessions. They can be done solo with groups. There's so many different tools. There's tuning forks, gongs. You have crystal bowls. So essentially, with that, I mean, you're using sound frequency vibrations to really like bring the body and energy field all into balance. So
Because everything is sound and vibration.
exactly. So when we take it back to what that really is, that original nature of it, yes, you can have different flavors, but essentially the sound and vibration is going to assist your body with doing what it needs to do. I think the beautiful thing about our bodies is it's intelligent. It is a universe within itself. So there isn't a whole lot you really need to do when it comes to telling it to heal besides having your intention set. And if you want, you can talk to your body and ask it to receive whatever is given. But sound healing is a really beautiful experience. It can bring up a lot. It can also assist with release, clearing blocked energy, resetting like your nervous system. And it just really brings that harmony and balance between the spiritual and physical. But do you have anything else to add when it comes to sound healing? Or if you had any direct experiences maybe that you could remember, that'll be good to share.
The way you just said it rebalances your nervous system. Every time I have had a sound bath or even the tuning forks, especially the sound bath with the crystal bowls, I feel a sense of calm that I do not have throughout the day. And afterwards, I feel so good. I'm like, I don't think I want to interact with people because I don't want this to wear off. So crystal bowls, that's my favorite form of sound healing. But I say be open to whatever you are drawn to. But it definitely does help to relax you, to soothe you, and to bring you back into balance, especially your nervous system back into balance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it'll. I think a lot of sound healing experiences are going to show up in places that you wouldn't really even think so. I had a sound healing experience at work. Right, they brought someone in to play some gongs and things, and some people might have been a little apprehensive, but afterwards, like you said, you just feel so rejuvenated, balanced. Like you're like, oh, okay,
I
you
didn't even know I needed that.
right. So I think like sound healing is something that is definitely going to start to become more and more popular, and I think people are going to get more creative with the ways that it's done, but going back to the tradition and keeping it simple with a few items, and some people out in nature, whatever it is that floats your boat, do it. Listen to some sound frequencies if you feel like you just want to get it at home and you don't necessarily want to go to a concert. But sound healing is another good modality. So we talked about crystals, but there's also a modality called crystal surgery, right? So do you want to talk about that? Like what is it exactly and how does it
So,
work?
okay, so I am a crystal surgeon, and when I first heard of it, I was like, "What? What?" But crystal surgery is a form of energy healing, but it works on your energetic field. So the same way if you had an ailment, a physical ailment that you needed to have surgery on, you go in with your crystals, and instead of making an incision on the physical body, you would make an incision just above the physical body so that you are on the energetic field. You're making those incisions and removing energetic gunk energetic blockages with the specific crystals utilized for that. You even go back and you stitch up the energetic field, you sew it back together so that there are no leaks, there are no ways for anything to seep in or seep out. And before you do that, of course, we work with the 32 different layers of the human aura. There are 32 layers, y'all. So you want a crystal that is representative of each layer. And each crystal has its own frequency, just like each layer of the auric field has its own frequency. So they correlate together, they work together to bring the energetic field back into balance and into harmony, so that you really can be out here on a different vibration, living your best life.
Wow.
And the last time I got it done was at the event in Florida. Man, I was so kind of in the clouds that it was unbelievable. I was like, but she didn't even touch my physical body. And it took me, I'll say it probably took me the whole day to kind of ground myself and to recover from it. So it is something that's very powerful, because the crystals that you're working with, they are very powerful crystals. The oils that are used during the crystal surgery, they're very powerful oils, and the intention that the practitioner uses while performing the crystal surgery, it is very, very powerful. And another thing, when I first became a crystal surgeon, one of my first questions was, well, can I do this on myself? No, because the person who is having the surgery done and the practitioner, while they are physically in the same space, they're on two different dimensions. So you can't do it by yourself. You have to have a high vibrational practitioner to perform that service.
Okay.
But it definitely brings you back into balance, and it brings it closes up so many things, because a lot of people have leaks in their aura. A lot of people have leaks and holes, tears and holes in their energetic field. You can repair that through crystal surgery.
Okay. So is there instances where you will know specifically when you need crystal surgery?
I would say if you have done the Reiki and you feel like, oh, that didn't give me much relief, or that didn't put me back into balance how I needed to, then you may need to go deeper with crystal surgery. But crystal surgery also combines the element of Reiki during a session.
Okay, got it. So crystal surgery, you need a practitioner. Reiki, you can do Reiki on yourself, but crystal surgery is like another deeper experience when it comes to this. So now you're touching all 32 layers. Okay. Right. Beautiful. All right. So yeah, I've had crystal surgery once before, and I had the same experience of just feeling like I don't really know what that reset was, but you are charged and ready to go.
Yes.
And so that's really what a lot of these modalities are supposed to make you feel like you were charged and ready to go. And if it didn't, give it a day or two, right? Sometimes you still need to settle. It's new. It might be new, but you also might need a step up, right? Maybe crystal surgery is something that you could look into to assist you. Okay. All right, so let's go into the quantum now, right? Because I know we hear a lot of this quantum healer stuff.
Quantum
jumping, all of these things with the quantum. But essentially, we're talking about quantum healing and quantum touch. So like both of them really is doing work on a subatomic level. But quantum healing really is using breath techniques, and of course your focused intention to really amplify the life force. So it's like going below the physical surface when it comes to directing whatever healing energy that's needed to the body or to the field. So that's really what the general understanding. But again, people do it a ton of different ways. They have a ton of different styles, and going into the quantum is limitless. when it comes to this. So what is your take on quantum healing? Do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, so you know how with Reiki there are different symbols and you have to be attuned and all of the things. With quantum healing, I think most people start with that, even though they don't realize that's what it is. Like you
Mm.
were saying, the hands on, the laying on the hands with the intention, like a lot of people are doing quantum healing and they're not even knowing it. They're saying, "Well, I'm not a Reiki practitioner because I haven't been attuned, but I know I can heal with my hands." That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like you have the quantum nature of it, which, that can also be done from a distance, right? You don't have to be in the same space to do that, but it's really looking through the spiritual eye to be able to assist others. And some are they have their different styles with things. Some people really do see specifics with how to assist people, but that's the quantum nature of it. And then you have quantum touch now, which is of course they're both geared towards using the hands, but the touch now you're looking at really shifting the physical,
Right.
your body, right? So like accelerating your body's natural healing ability. People use quantum touch to realign like posture, bones. There are some really miraculous experiences with this, but it does bring a lot of energetic and physical systems into harmony. So you're going to get the same effects, so to speak, but now the quantum touch is really where you can see physical shifts in the body. I really encourage people to look up some videos online, really look into it, because all of this stuff we're saying, do your own investigation, right? Do your own investigation to see what this is like and see if it's something that's for you. But there are a lot of people that have issues with their body that quantum touch could be transformative for them. So yeah, I haven't experienced the quantum touch, but I have seen it and it is beautiful to witness.
I was reading the Quantum Touch book, and one of the stories in there is of the guy. There was an older lady and she had like a hump in her back.
Mhm.
And he said he worked on her and worked on her and worked on her. And before she left, the hump was visibly gone. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. This is
That's exciting. So yeah, it really could be transformative for whoever
exactly.
needs it.
Exactly. And I know some people need to see in order to believe, but a lot of this, because of the quantum nature of it, right? You're going to have to believe and trust and have faith in order for those things now to take effect into the physical. But that is one of something you should definitely look into if it's resonating. If you hear it and you feel something like, I feel like I should look into it, look into it. That's what that means. So
Right.
quantum touch, quantum healing, that's another beautiful modalities. And then I also wanted to touch on biofeedback consciousness. So this is also something that I've experienced. It goes by a bunch of different names, whether it's EPFX, QXCI, SCIO, or SCIO. But essentially, this is, a device founded by a man, William Nelson. And so I wrote a note here because I wanted to make sure and give the exact definition. But this device is quantum in nature. It measures electrophysiologically over 8,500 portions or functions of the human body, which is then translated by computer or diagnostic and therapeutic outcomes. So it measures potential or otherwise in brain waves, galvanic skin response, so GSR, skin temperature, and moisture. And then the device sends or transmits the appropriate frequencies to wherever they need to go within the body to assist the body in healing itself. So I know that was a lot of words, but this device is amazing, y'all. If you haven't come across it yet, if you haven't experienced yet, remember, no doctor has ever healed anyone. So essentially, they're really just there to diagnose, help you with symptoms,
Treatments, right.
so they're really not healing you, right? So these are types of tools where now it takes it a step further, what doctors cannot do, right? So if anybody is really experiencing like pain, discomfort, or even if you hear about this and it starts to kind of, maybe I should think about this, you should absolutely investigate this. There are it's not difficult to find practitioners. You can literally look up biofeedback, Skio, QXCI, and you can find different places. But this is one of those devices that you're going to start to see more and more in the future. Like, it's already helping a ton of people, and it's not just with, you know, the physicalness, right? You're talking about pushing away disease. You're talking about removing lower vibrations, because lower vibrations can embed themselves into your body, right? We're talking about karmic issues, mental and emotional problems, and it gives you a full holistic view on what you've got going on with your body. So biofeedback consciousness is a really amazing tool, modality to consider if you haven't. So what about you, Charmaine? Have you?
And it's accurate, okay? I get it done monthly. And every time I get my report, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, how would it know that? Like, yes, that's exactly what it hits on the mental, it hits on the physical, it hits on the spiritual, it hits on the emotional, and it assists in pushing anything that does not need to be within or within your being away from it.
Yes.
And sending those frequencies to rebalance everything so that you can feel at your highest apex in capacity. Because every month that I get it done, I'm like, I know when I need it done. I know when I need it done. I'm like, okay, I need that. Because I'm feeling away, things are feeling away, and I need to come back into balance. And it's really, really good, like you said, for pushing away lower vibrations. It is so great for that. You can pair it with your release oil, pair it with your sage, your smudging, your crystals. But it is an invaluable tool, and I'm so glad that I found someone who does it and that I'm able to get it done on a regular basis, because it definitely shifts my energy and brings me back into balance. It even helps me with the thoughts that kind of, you know how when you get into space and your thoughts can kind of spiral? It helps bring me out of the spiral.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like it puts words to the things that you're experiencing as well, and explanations, because sometimes you really don't know what exactly it is, right? And you don't always have to know, but I know that when you do research this, like, there will be a plethora of information in terms of, like, some people saying that it's not true, it's BS, it doesn't work, right? But we are talking about a non-invasive device, right? So there are people out here doing tools and doing other things that are, you know, dangerous, right? So you want to do your research to make sure that when you do go through or use this, right, it's something that is non-invasive, right? But it is real, it does work. And so when you see the things, the things that appear on your screen, just really sit with it for a second to think like, oh, wow, that probably makes more sense than I even realized. But I do want to definitely highly advocate for it, because it just feels like something that's going to start to take the medical field by storm. Not just this, there will be a bunch of other stuff that are going to come forward soon. But I feel like we're just giving you guys a taste of some of these modalities and how to help you balance your spiritual and physical. So we talked about quite a few things, right? We talked about Reiki. We talked about sound healing. We talked about crystal surgery, quantum touch, quantum healing, biofeedback consciousness, right? So with all of these things being said, we do want to emphasize, always do your research. Always do your research. Use discernment, right? So part of what you're doing when you're signing up for these things, or scheduling or booking, is you're not just booking for that experience, you're also looking at the practitioner, right? Because the real way that this works is when the practitioners are at the highest vibration. And if you are getting a whiff that this person is not really taking care of themselves, that is a sign that they are probably not the one to work with at this time, right? Move on to someone else. There are plenty of people that can do this. You know, your intuition is always going to really be your guide when it comes to this. But yeah, do you have any like red flags or green flags that people can use when it comes to like spiritual guidance or like practitioners for these modalities?
Always look in the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and they will not lead you astray. Also, anyone who is claiming to be able to cure you of anything, do not work with them. Like you stated multiple times, no doctor has cured anyone, no doctor has healed anyone. I'm a healer, but I cannot heal you. I can assist you with healing yourself. So if anyone is making those claims, that's not somebody that you want to work with. If anybody is claiming that in this one session, your whole life is going to change, that's not somebody you want to work with. You definitely want to make sure that you feel comfortable with whoever you choose to work with whoever the practitioner is, and that they are of a high vibration. And you can tell by the words that they speak, by the actions that they take, and by the way that you feel, because your intuition and your body will let you know if this is somebody that you are supposed to move forward with or not. So just be aware of that and make sure that that person, I don't even want to say looks like they take care of themselves, but use your discernment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was good. Exactly. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit of practice. Sometimes they're going to be hit or miss situations, but that's a part of the practice. And who knows, some people are actually going through some of these experiences because they themselves should now be working with other people to assist them. So we all have the ability to do so many different things. Some of us just specialize in specific things. So I do want to kind of like summarize too. We're talking about being spiritually and physically balanced, because yes, sometimes when we start to get into spirituality, we can get all the way up here. We don't really want to come back down. Right. And we're like, well, it's all good up here, right? But our souls chose to have a human experience for a reason, and it's so unique that there are beings all over that line up for stuff like this and can't get in. So we got in, we're here now, and our jobs are really to make sure that we ensure that our all aspects, really your physical, emotional, mental, and your spiritual are all good. But when we're talking about spiritual and physical here, the physical is what you can see, right? It's your senses, your five senses, and then the spiritual part is going to take you a leg up with your additional senses. So now when they're all in balance, you will have a unique experience as a human, and that's what we're trying to get to. Make sure that it gets good, right? You have your heaven on earth experience, but you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself, but use these tools, use these modalities to make sure that you are good to go. And then you can also spread the word to help other people, right? We're not going to gatekeep. Okay, we're going to make sure that everyone has access to this, but we're also going to do our investigation and discern for ourselves. So with that, do you have any other closing words or any messages that you want to give to people that might be seeing this now or on the replay later?
I just want to say that if you are looking around in the physical, whether it's at yourself or your reality and things are off, it started in the spiritual, and that is where you start first.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much, Charmaine. This was a great conversation. And I feel like, if anybody out there is looking for more information, we are great resources to start, and we can help guide you towards whatever else that you're seeking. If you want to work with me, you can work with me at harmonyvibecoaching.com. Charmaine, how can people work with you?
At therealgoddessgateway.com.
Awesome. So again, thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope y'all have a good night.
All right. We love y'all.